Happy Thursday, everybody. I've got to say that today I am very happy I am not Jason Bateman or Morgan Freeman, because they are both getting eaten alive on the interwebs, which deservedly so, I have to say. But then again, I highly doubt that either gentleman happens to be watching this show. So, moving right along, the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'm back once again, and I am your host here at The Daily Dope, as well as being the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. So welcome aboard. Yes, today is Thursday, May 24th, and I'm sure plenty of you are out there getting ready for your big Memorial Day weekends. I know I am. I happen to be going camping. I'll talk about that a little bit later after the news. But I want to point out that today I am actually enjoying a brand new chair. Yes, ooh, nice and comfy. Because the fine folks over at eWin Racing sent me along one of their Flash edition chairs. And it is a beautiful gaming chair. It is very, very comfy. I just got it yesterday. If you follow the show, I have mentioned it previously about how eWin Racing was going to send me a chair to review. So I have been checking it out. I put it together yesterday. It took me about 15 minutes, I have to admit, to put it together. And this is a very heavy chair. This is like a 50-pound chair. And I will be doing a review of eWin Racing's Flash edition probably next week. I will talk about it. I will share my thoughts on the chair. I do want to point out that there is a promotional code if you want to score yourself one of these chairs. And I'm going to get up out of the chair in just a sec. I'm going to kind of show you a little bit, or at least move my ugly mug out of the way so you can kind of get a peek at it. And I also want to point out that there is a promo code if you go to eWin Racing. And you can find it right on the Gaming Gang website. I've got a sidebar ad for it. But if you use the code TGG10, you will save 10% on your purchase. And I do believe you'll get free shipping. I'll have to double check with my contact from eWin. But here, let me get out of the way real quick and kind of give you a look at it. Very, very nice material. It's got a little pillow here, kind of for your neck. And let's kind of go down a little bit. It's also got some lumbar support. So very, very cool. Very, very nice as I kind of move this around a little bit. Oops, where are we going, Jeff? Let's bring that back a little more that way. All right. So, yeah, the camera here is kind of precariously balanced. So I was 2 minutes late starting the show today, and that was just double checking. I got the two troublemakers are down here with me today too. So Pinky and Smokey are kind of roaming around. So we might see Smokey pop up here. We'll probably hear Pinky as usual chiming in as well. But yeah, this is a pretty cool chair. This is pretty nice. I am enjoying this. So anyway, let's get on with the show because I got lots cooking today. It's Thursday, so if you follow the Daily Dope, then you already know that I enjoy covering role-playing games on Thursdays, and I have got loads of role-playing game news today. I am going to take a first look at the Dark Eye Aventuria Almanac in just a bit. It is still in the shrink wrap. I have not taken a peek at this whatsoever, so we're going to explore it a little bit ourselves. Hey, Drew Barbier's popping in on chat. I was going to point out that chat is available through YouTube because this is a live stream. I know a vast majority of people watch this after the fact, But if you are watching live, feel free to say hello, chime in. If there's anything about the Dark Eye Aventuria Almanac you want to get a closer peek at, just let me know. But yes, Drew Barbier is one of our constant viewers, who I definitely appreciate. And Drew is also a patron at our Patreon page, which is always appreciated as well. But yeah, if you happen to be floating around and watching chat or watching the show, say hello in chat. I'm pretty friendly. This is a very casual show if you've never watched before. That is for certain. So I've got a lot of RPG news today. I'm going to talk a little bit again about my Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes giveaway, and talk a little bit about what I got cooking this weekend. There will not be a show tomorrow, and there will not be a show on Memorial Day. So I am taking a nice long 4-day weekend. I'm going camping. Talk about that in just a wee bit. Anywho, let me get everything set up here, because I did run a couple of minutes late because the new chair is a little bit higher. I gotta admit, still kind of getting used to it. It's a little bit higher than I have been, so I wasn't thinking. So I was like, I guess I better adjust some of the cameras and stuff like that to make sure that I'm not like, hey everybody, how's it going today? So anyway, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too big of a delay. So I do have a question. Drew's watching. I believe Drew is pretty well versed in the Dark Eye. So if you get a chance, Drew, chime in. Let me know if you have the Aventuria Almanac, and if you've taken a peek at that. I do understand Drew has the... sorry, I'm reloading my diet soda today. Drew says just a little. Are we out of sync today? Are we a little out of sync? We shouldn't be, because that was what actually I was spending most of my time this morning making sure that we were not out of sync. So if we are... Oh, sound is fine today. Thanks, Drew. I thought it should be. But of course there was another update. This time it was my video driver for my my video card. It seems like anytime there's like a Windows update or a big update, for an example, for like the soundboard that I use, or for the video card, the sound comes a little bit out of sync, so I have to play around with it. But I thought it should be okay today because I did do some tests earlier. But that's... I got to admit, there's been times where I've done a sound test 15 minutes before the show goes live, and it's still just a wee bit out of sync. But yeah, I thought today should be good. Thanks, Drew. Thanks for letting me know. All right, so as I mentioned, I got a good amount of news today. When I get into the RPG news, I do want to point out that every item in the RPG news today is available through DriveThruRPG. It just worked out that way. It's not like I'm sitting there going, yes, I'm going to make sure there's all this DriveThruRPG news so I can get those little tidbits of sales. Just happen to be that everything is pretty much available at DriveThruRPG, which I love that site myself personally. I talk about it all the time, how I get a little portion of that sale and that goes a long way to paying for their hosting. It also goes a long way for me to purchase PDFs for me to review too. Anyway, but my first news piece is not actually about an RPG. It's about a miniatures game, because Monsterpocalypse is coming in September. We're getting our first looks at some of the starter boxes, and I have the dope. The updated and streamlined second edition of Monsterpocalypse, the hit collectible game released in 2008, is now a hobby miniatures game. Thought it was always a miniatures game, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. This is all coming from Privateer Press. Players choose a monster, its army, and its paint scheme before smashing apart the local metropolis in battle against an enemy monster and its minions. Two different single-player starter sets offer players a choice between protectors and destroyers. No points for originality there. Once a site has been chosen, players can expand and customize their force with monster, unit, and building packs, and tailor their play experience with a variety of supplementary accessories. With highly detailed resin and metal hobby miniatures, Monsterpocalypse will appeal to both players of the original game as well as newcomers to the world of miniatures. Each starter will include 26 dice, which includes 10 action dice, 10 power dice, 6 boost dice, as well as 6 folding cardstock apartment buildings. Yes, they're all apartment buildings. I guess the city you're tearing apart is simply residential. 12 fire rubble markers, 1 monster stat card, 1 unit stat card, 1 elite unit stat card, 1 double-sided map, 1 monster model, 5 unit models, and the rule book. Each starter set is going to carry an MSRP of $49.95 when they arrive in September. Gotta say that I don't share enough miniatures news with the viewers out there, and I'm really trying to address that because I love minis. I used to paint miniatures all the time. I actually took the if you're familiar with Mansions of Madness from Fantasy Flight Games, it came with a slew of plastic minis. My best friend Elliot Miller over at voiceofe.com, huge fan of the Mythos line of games from Fantasy Flight Games. I actually, when I lived in Arizona, I had him send me his miniatures from his copy of the game, and I had painted up all the minis from Mansions of Madness, and I shipped them to him to replace them. So, pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Anyway, we are talking about Privateer Press. Gotta say, the starter boxes for Monsterpocalypse seem a little bit pricey. $50 for the large monster, as well as 5 units. I don't know. I do not know how large they are, though. I have to admit, it's been a while since I saw some video with the new monsters, so they might be pretty good size. I will say that I am going to do my best to get some coverage from Privateer Press at Gen Con, because it's been a couple of years since I talked to the folks over at Privateer Press, so maybe we'll get a much closer look at Monsterpocalypse then. Anyway, moving right along, I mentioned the new Eriador Adventure Supplement became available in PDF yesterday. And now, my good friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment have announced a special Adventures in Middle-earth bundle, which is available at Drive-Thru RPG. And here's the dope from C7. We're running a special Adventures in Middle-earth bundle deal at Drive-Thru RPG. Hey, I just said that. It includes the 2 core titles, the Player's Guide and the Lore Master's Guide, as well as the first 2 supplements, Rovanian Region Guide and Wilderland Adventures. This gives you everything you need to start adventuring in Middle-earth using the familiar 5th edition OGL rules. Adventures in Middle-earth is an officially licensed 5e open gaming license setting, bringing Middle-earth to, obviously enough, your 5e games. It provides an unparalleled handling of the source material, gorgeous art, and bespoke rules that... Bespoke rules? That's, They're British over at Cubicle 7. They throw words like that into their press releases. Bespoke rules. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just, as an American, I would obviously not have written that. Anyway, the rules bring the feel of Middle-earth to your gaming table without the need to learn a new rule set. The special bundle is just $29.95, and it gets you $70.36 worth of PDFs, thus saving you $40.41. I gotta say, this is a smoking deal, gang, as you're scoring all 4 books for about the price of the Lore Master's Guide. A little bit more than it runs in PDF, but not much. I do have to point out, I am 99% positive this special is only going to run through the end of May because it's part of the D&D sale that's going on all month at Drive-Thru RPG. And there are thousands of Dungeons & Dragons all editions PDFs available at huge savings. I believe the flash sale where they focused on dragons is over, But that was pretty cool because you could save 66% on those. Most of the PDFs that are available as part of the month-long sale is 33% off. I know there's some more than that, but most of them are 33% off. All right, so talking about 5th edition, let's talk about another classic role-playing game. And when I say classic, I do mean classic, because fans of the venerable Tunnels and Trolls RPG from Flying Buffalo Games, the company which coined the phrase role-playing game, if you are a fan of Tunnels and Trolls, you're going to want to take a peek at the newly released Tunnels and Trolls Japan. Or actually, I believe it is Tunnels and TNT Japan Adventures, or TNT Adventures Japan. That's exactly it. Anyway, it is releasing in English. It is in PDF. The book does take the game system to Japan, but I should say the book doesn't take the gaming system to Japan. It actually translates a ton of articles, adventures, and more from the Japanese language TNT Adventures magazine. Here's the dope. From the pages of TNT Adventures magazine in Japan, this fun product is translated into English with original Japanese illustrations and maps, solitaire adventures, game master scenarios, fantasy role-playing game manga, and a special set of TNT mini rules written by Ken St. Andre especially for this product are all included to make this a perfect book to introduce RPGs to beginners or fans of Japanese RPGs. Drew was saying, yes, I've kind of wanted to try TNT. You know what? I will actually mention that in just a sec. Right now, you can score the 60-page PDF at a special sale price of $4.95 over at DriveThruRPG. The normal MSRP on this is $15.95. I don't know if that was a misprint that I ran across, because $16 for a 60-page PDF is, well, that's ridiculous. Let's just say that. It's ridiculous to pay that amount for something. So Drew chimes in and says, I've always kind of wanted to try Tunnels and Trolls. I gotta be honest, so have I. And I have been gaming, long enough to remember when the first edition of Tunnels and Trolls came out. And I've always heard that one of the really main selling points of Tunnels and Trolls is, well, there's a few. Number one, there are a lot of solo adventures. There are quite a few solo adventures that you can play kind of almost as a choose your own adventure sort of product. And I've always heard good things about those. Something else I've always heard, and I'm not familiar with the mechanics for Tunnels and Trolls, is that even though it came out in the, I want to say it's late 70s, probably, I think it's like 78 is when the first edition came out, maybe 79, that even today, even that edition, and I think they're on the 7th edition of Tunnels and Trolls, even back then, if you look at that edition, it has very modern mechanics. It is very, as far as I understand, it's very, very, like, adventure group focused, as opposed to almost all role-playing games are focused on the individual characters. Well, with Tunnels and Trolls, you do have your individual characters, but there's a lot of stuff going on as far as a group dynamic, I believe. Do not quote me on that. I have actually never even taken a look at any of the core books, any of the materials, any of the supplements. But, you know, and every year, too, when I'm at Gen Con, I always think, you know, I should pop over and just say hi to Rick Loomis. Just because, you know, he's a guy who's been in the industry forever. But, so Drew says the solo adventures are what I've heard were good. Yeah, I think that's what draws a lot of us who've never played it to thinking about playing it. But the mechanics are supposed to be crunchy. See, now, and I had heard kind of the opposite, that I heard they're not so crunchy. They're just different. And I'm going to be talking about, of course, The Dark Eye in just a few minutes. And that's another game that, if you caught my review last week of the core rules, it's crunchy, but it's crunchy in a different way than we're used to, or at least here in the US, as far as our role-playing games, we're used to a certain kind of crunch. The Dark Eye's a little bit different with a sort of different kind of crunch. So anyway, so the TNT Adventures Japan is now available. I do not know when the sale will end on that. It's possible this is kind of tied into that D&D sale, even though it's not D&D. So it may only run until the end of the month, but for $5, that should be pretty cool. And it says mini rules, so I'm curious, is it like, does it have like a kind of like quick start rules in it, or are we talking like mini rules as in miniatures rules? I don't know. Okay, so if you dig the anthropomorphic, God, I hate that word, but I threw it in there anyway. If you dig the anthropomorphic animals of Pugmire, then you'll be excited to know a new adventure has arrived from Onyx Path Publishing. And I've got the dope on Pan's Guide for New Pioneers. When a devastating flood hits Pugmire, all manner of bad dogs, opportunistic rats, and manipulative cats, which I know all about manipulative cats. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Anyway, all of them take advantage of the kingdom. Good dogs try to turn the tide, but searching the dangerous wilderness for a way to heal the land is no easy task. If only there existed brave dogs to lay down the way for other intrepid pioneers. It is time for a new group of heroes to set out on a chaotic and risky adventure. Armed with a guide prepared by the daring dog Pan Dachshund, fabulous treasure and great recognition await them. Yes! Cash and fabulous prizes all in store. All of these pioneers need to do is explore the wilds, discover the key to Pugmire's salvation, and return in one piece. Oh, easy peasy. Pan's Guide for New Pioneers includes a full Pugmire adventure aimed at people brand new to role-playing games and experienced players alike. Rules laid out and explained for every encounter and challenge in the adventure. Snippets of Pan's journal presented for enjoyable reading or integration into the game. Ready-made characters, so a game of Pugmire can commence as soon as you open this book. All right, that sounds like hyperbole to me. I don't know if that's going to be true. But this sounds cool. Hyperlinks to video footage for those who prefer to follow along in different mediums. The 124-page book is currently only available in PDF, but you can snag a copy at DriveThruRPG for $9.99. While I'm talking about Pugmire, I should point out there's a Pugmire sale bundle going on right now, which includes the core rulebook, The Secret of Vincent's Tomb, a Pugmire jumpstart, which I believe might be a quick start, kind of a quick start with an adventure, Monarchies of Mao Early Access, which I believe is going to introduce feline characters, I think, and the Thank You Darcy Cat audio drama. No joke. You can get all of this for $7.99. That is a nice deal to check out the Pugmire system, which is 5th edition open gaming license. Pugmire seems kind of cool to me. I like the artwork. The artwork that I've seen from the different Pugmire releases is pretty cool. I really do dig that. I have had a couple of people comment, I want to say I think they were on news pieces that I've done for the Pugmire releases that have been out so far, and there are quite a few, saying that, hey, I'd love to check this out, but it's 5e. It's like, come on, I like 5e. I like 5e better than 4th edition, which I kind of peeked at, didn't delve into too much. And comparing it to like Pathfinder, which is really D&D 3.75, I guess we'll say, I like it better. It's a lot easier to get a character rolled up, I'll tell you that much. All right, so take advantage of those savings while you can with the Pugmire bundle, as well as Pan's Guide for New Pioneers. There's also a new Fate science fiction setting. Fate has been getting some pretty cool stuff. They had the horror toolkit, which just released as well. But this new Fate science fiction setting is available from Canadian company VSCA Publishing, and I've got the dope on Elysium Flare. There are aliens, lots of them, and blasters, and hyperdrive, and psychics, and mystics who actually seem to have a handle on something that works. It's a booming, burgeoning space full of technology from all three types of physics, and you're in the middle of it working for an organization with a purpose. Unlike probably most of our jobs. You're going to get things done and do it the hard way if need be. Dogfights, duels, card games, tentacle wrestling, whatever it takes, you're equipped for it. Well, I don't have tentacles, so I'm not equipped for the wrestling portion. Elysium Flare is a Fate variant with a detailed setting full of robots and tentacle monsters, and novel new rules for dogfighting starships, improving equipment, generating worlds, and creating a purpose for your characters in this semi-fantastic science-fictional galaxy. Pick a purpose and head into space to kick some ass. I do have to say this book is supposed to be available with a color, hardcover, or black and white soft cover option, but I have no clue as to where you could order it because it's nowhere on the VSCA website. Just says they're available, but there's no links for where you could buy them. Nonetheless, you can score the 136-page PDF right now at, you guessed it, Drive-Thru RPG. So let me wrap up all that RPG news by saying, as I always do, if you are going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG or any of the drive-thru sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com beforehand, click on one of our banners for the drive-thru sites, and that way, if you happen to make a purchase, we will receive a small portion of that. And I say it all the time, it really, really adds up. It really does. It helps pay for the hosting for the Gaming Gang, and thus helps support the Daily Dope as well. And I say it all the time, our hosting is not cheap because we do pull, and people are like, what? Really? We do pull between about 75,000 and 100,000 unique visitors each and every month to thegaminggang.com. And most of those visitors will actually return more than once in the month. So that just tells you, I think last time I looked, we pulled in a little over 2.3 million visitors. And that was in 2017. So, yes, bandwidth isn't free. So, regardless of what some of these companies tell you, oh yes, unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, no, not happening. All right, so that is the news for today. So I do want to point out something for the wargamers out there. GMT's website, gmtgames.com, is down at the moment. I know a lot of people were kind of freaking out about that, but they didn't know ahead of time that GMT Games is actually, geez, I said actually. GMT Games is actually transitioning to a new website. So obviously that means they must be going, because there's downtime. There was an update in GMT's latest update. If you read their updates on their website, like I do, which gives you a great idea of what's coming on the P500 and what's shipping out, things like that. Anyway, I was going to say, they did point out that their website would be down probably for a couple of days because they have a brand new website coming. So that should be cool. Their website's not terrible, but it is kind of creaky. Yeah, it could be modernized, that's for certain. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm assuming we should probably see it up maybe tomorrow. But they must be changing hosting companies too, because normally if you were transitioning just to a different design, you won't have this kind of downtime. So they must be going to a different hosting company too. All right, so did want to mention that because a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, what's going on? Is GMT going out of business? The website's closed. Website's not coming up. I'm getting an error message." It's like, no, relax. GMT's fine. One of my favorite companies, some of my favorite people in the industry too. Just their website's just going to be down for a couple of days. All right, so anyway, I am going to be going camping this weekend, and I have not gone camping in 25 years maybe. Of course, we're not roughing it. It's not roughing it camping. We got a really nice camper. It's my brother and my sister-in-law's. And I've never actually hung out and gone camping with them. So I'm going to go camping over the weekend. And I have been told, because there's some folks coming up to hang out, that I must bring Wits and Wagers Vegas with me. I have to bring it. But it's going to be pretty cool because I am going to bring other games too, because I'm going to drive up. So I'm going to load up a bunch of stuff. I might even actually run some role-playing because I believe Cameron's friends who are part of the gang are supposed to be coming up on Saturday too. And they're pumped because they want to find out what happened after our last session. So kind of left it on a cliffhanger. I like to leave things on a cliffhanger. I do that all the time with Call of Cthulhu campaigns, where it's like, oh my gosh, oh, and then it's like, okay, well, that's it. So we'll find out what happens next week. Or when I was younger, it was like the next day usually. So anyway, do want to mention, I still have the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes giveaway going on. Although I gotta be honest, it's not looking too promising as far as giving this away. Because the rules are you have to be a subscriber on YouTube, and by Monday, I have to reach 1,010 subscribers for me to give away the lovely, pristine, this is not a damaged book like many retailers receive. This is pristine. All it has is like my finger marks on it from holding it right now. And I can't really even tell. So there, because I keep my hands clean, damn it. But I am still, I want to say 35, 36 subscribers away from giving this out. So if I don't reach it by the end of the 28th, I'm not going to be giving it away. Or at least I'm not going to give it away to YouTube subscribers. I might do something where I'll actually do a Patreon giveaway. So there, see? Some folks could have gotten it without any sort of financial investment. So anyway, moving right along. So today I'm going to take a look at the Dark Eye Aventuria Almanac from Ulisses North America. I am going to mispronounce a slew of these names, so I'm going to apologize in advance. It is written by Florian Donschonen. Schoen? See, look, right off the bat, first name, completely wrong. Daniel Simon Richter, Evie Demirtel, Tobias Raphael Jung, Alex Spoor, and I believe it's pronounced Jens Ulrich. Art is provided by Helga Balzer, Stefan Brand, Tristan Deneke, Regina Kalash, Lorena Lammer, Jennifer Lang, hey, that one was easy. Nellie Klump, Marcus Koch, Annika Marr, Ben Mayer, Katharina Nico, Nathaniel Park, Diana Raffworth, Janina Robin, Matthias Rothennacker, Nadine Shakel, and Fabian Shee. Like I said, I apologize for mispronouncing all of those names, but I have to point out, a lot of times artists don't get a whole lot of credit for some of the wonderful artwork that is included in, not just role-playing games, but board games and card games as well. So, did want to share some love for the artists, even though I mispronounced 95% of their names. The book does clock in at 266 pages. Can be had in hardcover for $39.99, or you knew it was coming, in PDF from DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Here is the information from the publisher. Explore the many facets of the Dark Eye with the Aventuria Almanac, your guide to the official setting for the fantasy role-playing game. Immerse yourself in this exciting world and learn why the fantastic continent of Aventuria is like no other. This indispensable guide is designed both for players and GMs. Explore the regions, kingdoms, and history of Aventuria in detail. Entries for key cities cover inhabitants, customs, trade, science, law and order, magic, and the works of the gods. Learn about the icy wastes of the far north, the many provinces of the Midden Realm, and the mysterious home of the elves in the verdant woods of the Salamander Stones. Travel the merchant routes of the Tome Desert. Face the perils of the lizard swamps. I guess lizards live there. And the streaming jungles. What is it, live? And the steaming jungles of Meridiana. And delve into the hidden mines of the dwarves. Alright, so let's swing on over to the other camera. And pop this on down here. So, I did the review for the Dark Eye core book, and as you can see, this is the digest size, and this is the standard size for the Dark Eye hardcover releases. So, I really like this core book. I think the core book's really nice. I gotta be honest, I mean, this, it sounds so ungrateful, but I kind of wish it was a hardcover, because everything else from the Dark Eye that I've received is hardcover, so this looks kind of silly on the shelf next to it, but pretty good. Check out my review for the core rules. I talked about how I kind of dig the game, and then there's some things that I wasn't so keen on, and more so that it's kind of like if you were already invested into, say, Pathfinder, or if you're invested into 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, that I don't know if moving to the Dark Eye, transitioning to the Dark Eye, is going to be up your alley. Probably 5th edition more than Pathfinder, because most people who play Pathfinder own a lot of the Pathfinder releases. And there are, I mean, let's be honest, there's hundreds of them. But with 5th edition, at least from Wizards of the Coast, there aren't that many official books that have been released. It is cool, though. I think, to me, the coolest thing about the Dark Eye is the long history that this game has. And there's kind of like this whole, I don't want to say meta plot, but there's this whole just ongoing history to the game, excuse me, that the players are taking part in. So that, to me, is the biggest selling point of the Dark Eye. I know some commenters had said that they were a little disappointed that most of the books don't have enough monsters. They'll introduce a few monsters in each. I mean, I have to admit, I found the bestiary part of the core book to be pretty light as far as the number of monsters that were included. Mainly, it was just kind of, creatures. Drew says, like what I've read of this system so far, but finding there's a lot of stuff missing from this new English edition. Magic, monsters, some other things. Bingo, Drew, because I was going to mention that as well. One big thing that I hear a lot of people talking about is that the magic supplement, which, of course, all these books are available in German, and they have been for quite some time. But there's always new releases coming out in German, too. But the issue is that the core magic book, and I got to admit, there is some magic in the core rules, which I guess the previous edition did not have. Because if memory serves me correctly, this is the 5th edition of Dark Eye over its 30-plus year lifespan so far. But I understand in the previous editions, you had to buy like four or five core books to really get everything, which is not unusual. You want to play 5th edition D&D, you've got to pick up at least 3 books. So anyway, I already read the flavor text from the back previously. Really, really nice. Really, really nice. I gotta say that Ulysses produces really fantastic books. They really have that European quality to them. I'm not saying that they're the best, right? I'm not saying that these are the best books ever. I am saying I'm not aware of any publisher who's making better books than Ulysses. Ulysses Spiel as well as Ulysses North America. So we're going to dive into this. We're going to take a peek. I know nothing really about this book. I also have the compendium that we will look at in the near future. I am also going to take a look at, there's an adventure book that I received as well. And then I've got a box where it's like maps and stuff. So Drew says, I have 4 books now, and they all just have a few of each, if any at all. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hearing, especially like as far as a bestiary. So, and the thing is, I believe that Ulysses kickstarts a lot of this stuff for English. So I know they did a big Kickstarter for Dark Eye, and there were so many different releases that were going to come out. I do understand that there are some English edition releases that are coming out, I believe, it's either in the summer or in the fall. And you can go, gosh, off the top of my head, I can't tell you what the German language website is, but you can actually go to it, and it's not going to tell you what like a release date's going to be, but it will show the cover of the book, and then you'll see like a little, I want to say they use a British flag. Maybe it's an American flag. So you can kind of get an idea of what's going to be coming out in English. But I have not heard anything about the Magic book, which I know a lot of people are really waiting for. All right, so let's take a look at what we got. Table of contents. So we got the first chapter is going to talk about the continent of Aventuria, races, the land and people, culture and science. Then we get trade and commerce, flora and fauna. Well, looks like we get a few creatures in here. Then we get gods and demons, which there really wasn't much discussion of that at all. I mean, there was some, but not a whole lot of detail in the core rules. Magic and sorcery, fame and infamy, and myth and history. And then chapter 11 is for GMs only. So much of this content, which I already knew, much of this content can be shared with players. So we got a preface talking about the continent of Aventuria. Got the map. And in the core book, they have, I believe it's the same map or very similar map. And then each of these areas, which you see are color-coded here in the book. Give you a little better look. There's a few paragraphs about each of these different regions. So here we've got Forests of the North, Warring Kingdoms. I do believe that there are many Dark Eye English language products that are in PDF that I should mention as well. Many of them are in PDF. They have not been released as physical books. Although, I swear, I don't think that Magic book is in PDF. Alright, so getting us a little bit more information here. Delvings of the Dwarves. I like the artwork. The artwork's pretty cool. I have not seen any, like, really crappy art so far from the Dark Eye. And it seems to me, now, might be my imagination, but I kind of think that throughout the different books, some of the artists reuse certain characters. Like there's a character from the core book. Let me grab this. This female character here who I think might be kind of a magic user, but there were different images of her in the core book. I could swear that there's different images of that character in other books as well. Now, I might just be out of my mind. I don't know. All right, so moving right along as, oh, here comes Smokey floating past. Hello, Smokey, do you want to come up? No, I guess not. She's like, nope, you can look at my butt. I'm walking on by. I'm like, all right. She is a very, very friendly cat, though. So, unlike a lot of cats out there where it's sort of like, yeah, pet me, pet me, pet me. It's like, yeah, I'm done with you now. You can look at my butt. I'm walking away. She's really not like that. But she is getting rambunctious down here, zipping around. All right, over road and bridge, journey on land. Looks like these little areas here are just kind of flavored quotes from various different characters. Chapter 2 is on races. I know that some folks are kind of like, oh, really? All that's available as far as the races are humans, elves, half-elves, and dwarves in the Dark Eye. At least those are the playable races I'm aware of. There might be some in other supplements. But there's quite a bit of detail given to each of the races. And I know I'm going off on a little tangent again, which I always do, right? I know a lot of game companies are starting to move away from the term race. And I can see why. I can completely understand why. So, I don't know if you cultural traits, cultural background, something like that might be a little more politically correct. Although I am certainly not a bastion of political correctness. But yeah, I find it funny when I'll see different role-playing products and they're like, oh, races, and I'm like, oh, no, companies are kind of trying to move away from that a little bit. All right, so talking about the elves, dwarves, orcs, and goblins. Additional races. For a second, I thought that was a nude figure standing there. I was like, whoa, wait, what? And it's like, oh, okay, no, we're all right. Looks like it's a Cyclops. Then we got the land and people, locations and settings. The Midden Realm is, from what I understand, the Midden Realm is kind of the featured area of Aventuria. That a lot of the adventures and things like that take place in the Midden Realm. Although, I want to say there's a supplement, I think it's called The Warring Nations, that actually talks about, I believe, 2 other regions that are covered in this, but they go into like a lot of detail. It might even be an adventure supplement, or might be kind of setting the scene for adventure supplements in the future or that are currently out there. I have to say, I am not the most well-versed person in what is available for the Dark Eye that's not in print. So, yeah, I'm not, because there's also, I believe, like the DM's Guild, there's also a depository at Drive-Thru RPG for Dark Eye stuff that is like fan-created. Which doesn't mean it's crap, I'll tell you that much. Because there is some stuff in the DM's Guild that is really, really nice. Alright, so just kind of paging on through here. Other thing I think is pretty good about the Dark Eye books that I've seen so far is you don't see a lot of full-page artwork or big splash pages of artwork that at the end of the day, it's, let's say, it's 100 pages. Out of 100 pages, you're really only getting about 50 pages of useful gaming information. There is artwork sprinkled throughout. There's a lot of artwork, but it's not overwhelming. And then, of course, as soon as I say that, we've got 2 fairly good-sized images on 2 pages. But I know folks who have played a lot of role-playing games in the past know what I'm talking about, where you'll pick up a splat book, and that splat book is just... And I love good artwork, don't get me wrong. I prefer a little more artwork than too little artwork, because I find most of the time with a lot of role-playing games that artwork really kind of gets my juices flowing, kind of inspires me a little bit. But a lot of times you pick up a splat book for a game, and it'd be like, okay, it's all this fluff, and then there's all this artwork, and you would get maybe 25% of the book actually dedicated to gaming information, usable gaming info. So that is not something I have run across in the Dark Eye books. So pretty cool kind of landscape artwork here. City-states of Ptolemies and of the south. Here are the lizard swamps. Let's see if we see any lizards. Oh, I see a swamp. I see a swamp up here. I don't see any lizards. The Empire of Anfa. Cool. Nice. The other thing that I do notice about the Dark Eye books is that the artwork, many times the artwork that's accompanying the text actually does have something to do with what they're talking about, what's written there. One of my pet peeves is to be sitting there reading something, and I mentioned this in my review of the Torg Day 1 Adventures. It was a lot of recycled artwork and a lot of artwork that just really didn't correspond to what was going on. So Drew says, some of the art is the same as from the Aventuria card game, or vice versa. I think the artwork is from the books and it was reused for the card game. I think. I'm not positive. Yeah, that card game's got some really cool art. I have not had a chance to really delve into the card game outside of doing the unboxing. So, looks pretty cool, but it looks pretty crunchy. So, all right, so we're getting I believe these are different cities. Yep, cities of Aventuria. And they're different crests. They're different heraldry. If you aren't overly familiar with the Dark Eye is a European-style fantasy role-playing setting. So it's a little bit more realistic as far as the creatures, the magic, things like that, as opposed to, say, Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. So one thing I have to admit, and I don't have anything against Pathfinder. I think Pathfinder's cool. Paizo's always been very nice to me. I have sat down and interviewed Eric Mona a few times. He's always super nice. I'm just not a fan of the artwork. To me, the artwork is a little too cartoonish and a little too inspired by Japanese video games and anime and manga for my personal taste. So when I see a character who has a sword, excuse me, it's super dry down here in the Duct Tape Studios. And we were actually, my dad and I were doing some work down here, and we've raised a bunch of dust. And of course, the work we were doing has absolutely nothing to do with the studio area here. So, yeah, right. I mean, it's obvious I'm in a basement. Come on! But we were working on the basement. But anyway, so when I have a character, or I see a character with a sword, I want that sword to look somewhatly realistic. I don't want it to look like a sword from Final Fantasy V, where the sword is bigger than the character wielding it. And yeah, I don't necessarily kind of dig that artwork. The artwork in the Dark Eye, I think, is very, very nice. I think it's really, really well done. I guess my main gripe, and I guess it's kind of Drew's gripe too, is that we've got these various different books that are available in English right now, but none of them actually are like super comprehensive as far as putting everything at your fingertips that you need. Now, once again, that is not uncommon in role-playing games where you have to have the various different books to effectively run the game. But it just seems like the core book. The core book was mainly about the rules, a lot about character generation, a bit about the races and that. And then it was pretty light on setting, magic, things like that. I mean, there's skills, but I don't know. I'm the kind of person, I like more skills than fewer skills. I just would not have all the skills on the character sheet, which is how the Dark Eyes character sheet works. So I think there's, if I remember right, there's 70 some skills, and all of those, each skill in the game are comprised of 3 attributes. So you have to have the attributes showing on the character sheet too, because that's how players know how, you know, what attributes they have to roll under to successfully perform a skill. I like more skills. I mean, if there were 200 skills, that'd be awesome. I just want to have 200 skills on the character sheet. I would have some spaces available, blank spaces, for characters to write in some less common skills. Okay, so we got culture and science. There we go. We got the nice bookmarks. Definitely dig how Ulysses includes the bookmarks, and they include 2 bookmarks. I think that's very, very nice. Talking about language and dialects. Idioms and superstitions. Calendars, reckonings, and holidays. So, Drew, as I'm paging through this, I understand you have this book. Why don't you pop on and tell me what you think of it? Because, I mean, it looks pretty cool. I'm a big fan of setting. I like setting info. And I know a lot of people, there are a lot of people out there, they're like, no, I don't want the fluff. I want the mechanics. I want the rules. That's all I really want. I want to know how to create characters and go from there. I don't care about the Forgotten Realms. I don't care about, you know, I don't care about the various different planets in the Federation. I just want to be able to jump in, kind of create my own stuff. I personally like a lot of backstory because one of the reasons, I've mentioned this a few times, is when I'm running something, even if it's not necessarily applicable to what's going on in the game, I like to have some of that background in my head because I can kind of float stuff out there almost as throwaways. And I did that a lot with Call of Cthulhu. I had tons of books about the 1920s, and I'm a history buff in the first place, but I even had books that were like almost like day by day or month by month, weird, strange Fortean occurrences, you know, like on March 30, well, I almost said March 30th, that would be February. There's no February 30th. So if I said like on March 4th of 1922, in the town of wherever, Missouri, it rained frogs. It was in this book. So it was really, really cool. And I would have this kind of stuff, and I would have it, you know, like one adventure, the characters riding a train, and they just happen to be, it just happens to be the train that the New York Yankees team cars are attached to. So they actually start talking to some of the Yankees from like the 1923 team, which I knew all about. And I mean, just, you know, just fleshing things out. So Drew says, yeah, I like the Aventuria setting. That's why I got into Dark Eye. Got introduced by some PC games in the past, and since then I've been interested in the fluff. Very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of PC games based on the Dark Eye. I think maybe there's 2 or 3 of them that are in English. To me, this game reminds me a little bit of the old PC game. I want to say it was called Darklands, and it was set in this. Yeah, it was set in Europe, but it was a fictional Europe, so there were like vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. There isn't that kind of dark tone really to the Dark Eye, as far as, you know, a lot of evil supernatural creatures, but it does kind of give me that same sort of vibe. It's got food and drink, sports and games, craftsmanship and technology. Hey, look, they're talking about the 1924 Yankees. Nah, I'm just kidding. Craftsmanship and technology, music and art. See, and this is all the kind of stuff that I would dig just reading through. Now, and you know, when I do a review of this book, of course, I'm sure that I will mention that, you know, this book probably isn't going to be for everyone. But as Drew is pointing out in chat, and he's pointing out, in case anyone's wondering about the PC games for the Dark Eye, he's kind of naming them, and they are in English. So I don't think Drew speaks German or reads German. But anyway, I was gonna say I'm sure there are people out there who are gonna be like, nah, I don't care about this background stuff, like I said before. So this book may not necessarily be for them. And also, I'm catching a little bit of glare here, so I'm gonna try to keep this side lifted up a little bit. Try to cut down on some of that glare coming up. So we got different diseases. Talking about selected diseases: leprosy, blood phlegm, blue wheeze. Oh, I hate when I get the blue wheeze. The art of alchemy. Talking about poisons, elixirs. Now we've got trade and commerce. This might not be a super exciting portion of this book. But one of the other cool things about the Dark Eye is that the characters don't have to necessarily be, wow, I'm Beowulf. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm Conan. There are different professions which are, you know, I don't want to say mundane, but they're not completely like way out there. Punishments. Oh, we're looking at the law. Yep. Looking at the law. Courts of law, taxes and levies. Flora and fauna. What grows and lives in Aventuria. Alright, so here we get a bestiary. Now we start actually getting some of the monsters. So we got goblins. Okay, so I was talking about Pathfinder. I do dig what Pathfinder does with their goblins. So, just that they're like kind of completely crazy, and yeah, I dig that. All right, the ogre. That's an odd looking ogre. Of course, we've got the stat blocks here for each of these. Orcs. Trolls. Now that certainly does not look like your standard troll. This is more a European troll. So this is, you know, not a D&D troll. This is a European troll, which is kind of like a giant. Cave spider. Crypt louse. Huh. Oh, it's a pretty big bug. Don't want to be messing with that. Kraken newt. Release the Kraken newt. So there's a few creatures here. A treant. Grimwolf, black bear. Wolf rats, wild boars. So yeah, pretty cool that we got a little more bestiary here. Still not a ton. What were there? Maybe 15, 16? And we got different herbs. Gods and demons. The Creed of the 12 Gods. The 12 gods are mentioned in the core book, but not a ton of detail. So this gives us a bit more. The Adversary. The Archdemons, Other Immortals. Beyond the Creed of the 12 Gods. Churches and cults. There we go. Now, magic and sorcery. So, Aventuria as a magical world, magical traditions. Now, there is a Dark Eye. So that is an artifact. The Dark Eyes are artifacts or magical artifacts. In fact, it looks like this sidebar area here is talking about the Dark Eyes. Now, are these new spells? No, magical beings. I guess these are magical artifacts. For a second, it looked like there might be some new spells in here. Magic in daily life. Yeah, see, really no spell info. No new spells. So, there we go. There's the character I was talking about, who we see. But you know what? I think that may have been... I think this is in the core book, or maybe this is a cover of a different book, because I seem to recall seeing this image someplace. All right, so we've got Fame and Infamy. I guess these might be some of the leaders of the various different realms. But one of the big selling points of the Dark Eye is it's almost along the lines of what a lot of companies like to present as their living campaigns, because all this stuff is, you know, kind of changing, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that's very, very cool that they do that. Now, I know there are some people out there who don't like that. They don't like a big meta plot because they feel that it doesn't allow their own characters to really live and breathe, that it's always kind of in the shadows of something else going on. Just like some folks who kind of completely different game, but folks who really enjoy the AEG Legend of the Five Rings card game, a lot of them dug that there was this like overarching story in the game, and then the new releases would kind of like move that story along. But then there were other people who liked specific factions that might have gotten kind of the short end of the stick in some of the, you know, the newer releases that came out, that were like, I don't like this overarching storyline. So to each their own. I mean, yeah, it's role-playing games. You run them however you want. If you dig the Dark Eye and you don't like, you know, the exact storyline that's presented as what's going on, ignore it. Make your own up. So we got Myth and History. I really like this book. This book is very, very nice. Now, of course, I have not read it because, obviously enough, you saw me take the shrink wrap off of this. All right. Very cool. Yeah, see, I dig all this kind of stuff. Dig all this kind of stuff. Give me a background. Give me a background on the world. I was a big fan back in the old days of a lot of the Greyhawk stuff for D&D. And then it was funny, I didn't even run it. I would just pick it up because I enjoyed what was going on. yeah, what can I tell you? And then this is for the GMs, Mystery and Arcana. Talking about different mysteries. Turning of the Ages, War of the Gods. So it's actually giving you the real lowdown on these events. It's giving you the real lowdown on some of these NPCs they're showing off. All right, Mysterious Places. Oh, there we go. There's the cover artwork for the core book right there. All right, almost finished here. So, Heroic Journeys through Aventuria. And then looks like we've got some, well, it says human opponents. A few of these. Cultist, the Guard. Huh. Yeah, it seems as if a lot of these books like to just give you a wee bit of like the bestiary, a wee bit of NPCs, and then you pick up the next book, and then you get more beasties, more bad guys, more baddies. All right, Living History for the GM. Hey, I was just talking about that a little bit. And then we've got the index and back. So all told, it is 264 pages, and there are 2 maps. Now, I do not know if these maps are also part of that map box. If maybe that map box that I've got that we're going to take a look at in the future might be bigger. It's the first map here. And I'm going to take a guess that this is going to be a bit bigger. Probably fold it out. Yep. It's 4 panels. Kind of stuck together here. Come on, you. What's going on? Yeah. It's like, whoa. Nice quality. Yeah, just it's larger scale map, so it's twice the scale. Looks like, yep, same, just a bit larger scale. It's possible one is a player's map and the other is a game master's map. Anything is possible, but I don't think so. I think it's just two different scales for the maps. All right, so that is what we find when we take a first look at the Dark Eye Aventuria Almanac from Ulisses North America. Right, and of course, I am going to have a review of the Almanac in the very near future. So anyway, that is the show for today. Did want to point out, just as a reminder, there won't be a show tomorrow or on Monday, so it's a 4-day holiday weekend. Anyway, when you're not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. If you live in the U.S., have a great Memorial Day weekend. If you don't celebrate Memorial Day, you're someplace else, have an awesome, awesome weekend. And yes, Drew, thank you. I will have a good trip as well. Take care, and I will be back next week. And until then, thanks for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.